What's up, guys? Coming back at you with another review here. Gonna get right into it. Pro Flight Trainer X full depth review. Gonna have a whole bunch of footage. You're gonna have a whole bunch of thoughts on this. So let's dive right into this and get going. Now I just kind of wanted to give everyone an overview here of the Puma and my setup, which I'll get to here in a little bit. But as you can see, very clean looking unit. Once again, everything bolted together and went together extremely fast, well under an hour. Instructions were very easy to follow. And one thing I really like about the setup so far is in particular the collective control. The customability of the collective control is huge. Like, you can basically set the thing to whatever height you want, so you can set it to a current kind of height and seat pattern to develop a muscle memory if you're an existing pilot and you just kind of want to keep that training, that muscle memory. Collective, like I said, just 2 bolts or 2 screws on either Allen head screws on both parts of the assembly. It goes together very easy, and it's also very easy to adjust. Also, the collective is very responsive as well. Very solidly built. There's a little bit of play when you pull on the collective from side to side, but you know, it's aside from that, it's something that you can't really notice when you're fully engaged in your simulation. The throttle rolls extremely well, very solid, and the switches, all the switches on the collective head are fully functional and very handy, especially for when you're flying with VR. You'll notice I have the little red cap on one of the switches that I've kind of tied to a low RPM horn, so I can flick that off when you're practicing auto rotations, or if you're sitting on the ground and want to roll the throttle off back to idle, you can throw that switch on without having to reach down and find your controller to. And there's a 3-way switch here, you'll notice here too, that you can set in 3 different modes. So basically you'll have 3 different layouts of buttons that you can map to different functions. So great customability on Puma's end, on the Pro Flight Trainer's end, for customizing the rig for, especially for VR. Seems like they've really kind of thought about the VR users, because it seems like that's kind of the future. Moving on to the cyclic. The cyclic is actually, it's very well built, like a B8 style flight grip that most common American helicopters have, such as the Jet Ranger. Comprised really well, like it's built very well. There are lots of customability with the buttons. The buttons feel very natural. Everything feels very much in place. So everything's all in place. Everything works just fine. It's easy to map everything. And the pedals, actually I find the pedals to be a little bit light. I've tightened them up as much as I can for the friction wise, but I find them to be just a tad bit light on the feel once you have your feet on them. And I think I probably will look into the dampening mod that several other people have done, and it actually seems to have good results from what I've seen on YouTube videos and from what I've seen in forums. So aside from that, pedals are very well built. As with most of the assembly, you know, the whole entire assembly is very well built. The platform it's sitting on itself is actually a little bit of a custom deal. I built a 2x4 base, just with about 3 ribs in the middle of it, and that is sits on top of that is the Pro Flight Trainer, encompassed in a 3/8 sheet of plywood. I went about 2 feet by 4 feet in length, and to cover the plywood I actually obtained a old floor cover for an ASTAR. I think it was a BA model. So it was actually a helicopter I had flown in a few times in the past locally, so it was kind of cool. It was going through a 12-year inspection, and they were putting new flooring in, and I just happened to be at the right place at the right time, and kind of have some friends at the company, and they managed to swing me this old floor. So the plug and play ability of this is very simple. It's very easy to calibrate on Windows when you first plug it in, so make sure you do calibrate it on your PC prior to actually going into your simulator, whether it's Xplane, DCS World, Microsoft Flight Simulator, whatever it might be. In my case, I use Xplane. Make sure that you do calibrate it with the Windows Game Manager before you actually go into your simulator of choice to calibrate it or choose the control mappings from there. I will say that I find the centering of the cyclic somewhat of a challenge. However, I do know that I do realize that there had to be, you can't replicate fully the sensation of the hydraulic / the balance of the rotor disc in a control setup of this price range. Had you look closer into hydraulic controls and things like that, your price would just go up exponentially. So the VR in combination with this, hands down, you really can't get any closer to flying a real helicopter unless you get into, like I said, like a level D kind of simulator with full motion and that sort of thing. But for somebody who is just a consumer kind of aviation enthusiast / private pilot, more than adequate, and also really fun to do. It's fun to practice, and you also get that knowledge that when combined with a accurate flight model, and like Xplane for instance, you're actually developing somewhat of a muscle memory for further flight training in the future, should you decide to go for an actual rotary wing license, which is kind of what I plan to do down the road. So that's a large part in why I purchased this setup, and I've kind of built this platform that I'm currently running. And I think the next stage will probably be an upgraded computer build to further enhance the capabilities of the virtual reality. It's absolutely fantastic, and I could not be more impressed with this training solution, training platform. So definitely will give this entire range of components a 5 out of 5. I just could not be happier with the amount of craftsmanship and the amount of design that has gone into this product. It is just second to none. I cannot stress that enough. That's kind of my take on the ProFlight Trainer X. And if you guys have any further comments or questions, just feel free to leave them below. I'm more than open to answering any other concerns that anybody has. And once again, guys, ProFlight Trainer X, my 2 cents is definitely worth it. Definitely worth the money if you can put it within your budget. And if you're looking for a flight training solution specifically for helicopters, for simulation, this is your go-to. This is really the top of the line, and I cannot recommend it more. So go ahead, go take a look. I'll drop a link to the ProFlight Trainer shop. Take a look. They have a few different options for you to choose from, and seriously consider it, guys. Okay, have a good one.